when your freedoms are being taken. It is time for history to repeat itself and stand. Black Robe Patriots. Your host, Dr. Cindy Flowers and Pastor Ladina Boo.
Good morning. I think we're broadcasting at the moment. It says we have stream 1 and stream 2. This is a learning experience this morning. Okay, they left me to run my own show, and so Cindy and I are here, and hopefully it works out properly.
We will do this.
We will do this one way or another. We will get this accomplished.
Yes, we will.
So anyway, good morning. I'm Ladina Boo from Stockton, Missouri. I pastor a small church there called the Independence Church. And my co-host here is Cindy Flowers. Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Good morning. I am Dr. Cindy Flowers, and I am from Waterford, Michigan, way up there. And I am currently picking up some post-grad classes. Like I haven't had enough torturing myself. I'm a pastoral. How did they put it? That I got so many letters. I'm like, oh, this is terrible. So I'm a solution-focused pastoral counselor, and I am also a cognitive therapy. And yes, I'm taking more classes.
Yeah,
and
just
we do this.
I need therapy, so we'll be good. So anyway, today on our Black Robe Patriots, we wanted to speak about free speech. And, we need to understand our rights of free speech in this country. And, it seems like more of those rights are going away every day whenever it comes to speech.
Yes. I'd like to take a look at, because, like we talked about, there is so much to the First Amendment, and it's the first and the second that are attacked the most. And there's so much to the history of the First Amendment. And you think about, well, why did our forefathers write the First Amendment in the way that they did? Well, they would only write it the way that they did because of past experience, to make sure that it doesn't happen again, so they can eradicate that.
Right.
Living with under the tyranny of, you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't think for yourself, and living under the whole thing is the government should be no bigger and be able to fit nicely inside of the Constitution, not how like it is now.
No, now they've destroyed it. They've, twisted it around. They've taken powers that they should not have and trying to put us all in a box that fits their concept. And in 1792, James Madison wrote, "A man has a property in his opinions and the free communication of them." So he thought that people not only own their thoughts, but own the right to express them as well. And we have so
Yes.
many people hollering hate speech these days. And, we've lost the entire concept of let's just agree to disagree.
Exactly. And you see how far it's come now, how dumbed down, and everybody's, oh, you hurt my feels. Well, what, suck it up. We grew up in the times. I mean, most of us grew up in times where, if somebody said at kindergarten, first grade, you're a dummy poo-poo head. You didn't go and sue their parents. It's like, well, you tell them to be quiet or tell them to shut up and go away. And that was the end of it. You used to get beat up if you would cry if somebody called you a dummy boo boo head or something like that. I mean, what happened to the days of where we were thick-skinned, where it's like, if somebody wanted to express themselves or say something, turn it off, walk away,
Turn the other cheek.
whatever.
You
Yeah,
know, Jesus told us before, turn the other cheek, And that concept seems to have been lost somewhere in the translation from 1776 to 2023, with the
exactly.
colleges setting up their safe zones, and you can't say certain things in their safe zones and so forth. But, without the free exchange of these ideas and our right to assembly and petition and press and so forth, it creates our ability to do that creates a more stable society, and we cannot call our society stable these days.
Yep, yep. And you look back in history, when we talk about, like, um, when they came up with the Declaration of Independence,
Hmm.
and you read the Declaration of Independence, and you see what they wrote in there was what they wanted for themselves and what they wanted stopped, what they were removing themselves from.
Hmm.
And a lot of people miss that because they don't realize, I think, and each one of these Bill of Rights, these are our rights, and unalienable rights of freedom, of freedom. I don't think these people actually realize the how precious freedom is, that it's
Right.
worth dying for.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
the First Amendment, you have the freedom of speech, the freedom to be, um, like, which with what's going on today, the LGBTQ, RSTU, VW, whatever, the alphabet mafia. Okay, you want to be that way? Be that way. It's America. Be that way. But how it works is, you I don't have to go along with what you're doing. You can do
Right.
what you do, but I don't have to do it. And if I don't agree with it, it's okay. You're not going to see me again. It's not a big deal. Move along. You're not going to agree with some things with me. You can't say, well, you must believe, you must listen to. No, that's tyrannical.
Yeah. you
That's
know they're trying to beat us over the head with stuff and say, you have to accept this or you have to accept that. Well, for me, if it's not written in our Constitution, if it's not written in our Bill of Rights, if it's not written in Scripture, then I'm probably going to disagree with you. And you can just go on about your business, and we'll be fine. But I've noticed that even gays are against the transgenders, because if you're saying something, you can be physically attacked. They've physically attacked numerous people for expressing, contrary views.
yeah, yeah, and it's turned where the government. I'm trying to find that. I'll find that in a minute. Where the government has grown to be big again. Um,
Hmm.
if you look, if you look back in history, as to why it was more of an escape, um, for some. If you look back, how the uh, colonials were treated by the British. I mean, they would just come in and take your homes. And,
Right.
hey, you're out of here, everything for the king, and just leave you. And they didn't care. And if you did this, you didn't do this, you didn't obey, you were shot or you were imprisoned. And then you look over in Ireland, they treated the Irish just as bad the English did. And then you look in Scotland, they did the same thing. So you've seen, when America started to come into her own, they got over here. They were coming over here and like, we're out of here. We're not going to deal with this anymore. That was the attraction
Right.
to this country.
And being able to freely practice your religion no matter what it was, because the government couldn't put in their state religion or their United States religion. They weren't doing like Great Britain. It was freedom. And that's what we need to remember in this country. We've got the freedom of speech. We've got the freedom to petition. We got the freedom to, assembly. And, you know, our government was based and our country was based on having a society where we could all vigorously and fully participate in conversations with people and not be attacked for it. Our freedom of speech is probably one of the greatest freedoms we have. And anymore, it seems like about everything you say is classified as hate speech.
Yeah.
I don't hate
Yes.
anybody. I don't hate
No,
anybody.
I would consider hate speech of somebody going right up to you and because they don't agree with you, just totally character assassinating you. I mean, where everybody would go, whoa, back
Hmm.
off. That's hate speech. But for somebody to say, well, you know what? Okay, you think that you're a woman, but you're not. Um, okay, well, you go ahead and you live into that fantasy, but I don't have to incorporate that. And that's not hate speech. That's my freedom. That's my freedoms and my rights. I don't have to play the game, which is what they want you to do. They want you to play this game and believe things that are just not true.
Right,
So you, uh, and when it comes all down to it, it's all for votes
right,
so that they can be elected if you go ahead and side with this side. But it's gone way too far where you're starting to violate other people's rights for the sake
right,
of these people's rights. And this is what the whole Constitution was written for. It's one of the biggest things I think it is in the First Amendment. Leave people alone. Leave
right.
people alone. They
Mm,
don't want to be bothered. Leave them to their homes. Leave them to how they believe. Leave them to, if what they do in their life and how they think. Leave them alone.
right.
Just leave people be. But you can't. They don't. It's
You
they
know, we have
talk about.
everybody. Our country allows even unpopular groups to express their views and try to persuade other people to, fall in line with them. But if you don't want to fall in line with them, nothing says you have to. You know,
Exactly.
uh, we've got
It's
all these groups going around and arguing with each other, and um, self government, which is what our United States has. We have a republic here, and you know, if it's not possible to have self government when your speech is censored. A citizen
yes.
cannot
Amen.
challenge their government leaders or um, increase that the chances increase that the government will not serve the people. Well, we're seeing that these days. They've cut off our ability to speak freely and express our opinions.
Yes, exactly. And it's gotten to be, and it's they I don't know if you had heard it that some woman redid the national anthem
Hmm.
and just ripping on America. I don't know if you've had a chance to hear it yet, but
No, I've not heard that.
it'll make you angry. And it's like, but they choose that. They put these tyrannical big government people into office. And it's like, well, why are you doing that? If you want to be free, if you want somebody who respects the Constitution and respects the Declaration of Independence and has that American mindset,
Right.
why do you keep putting people in office who want to eradicate it, who want to get rid of it? They don't want it. And that's not America. And I hate America. Well, then get out.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's not being mean, but if you don't like it there, leave.
Yeah. And don't come here and try to change our country into where you came from. You know,
Yes,
don't be
exactly.
trying to exchange to trade our way of doing things, or trying to throw out our constitution and declare everything as hate speech, and we have to have our little uh, you know free zones and so forth where you cannot say anything. Our If you are in college, you probably consider yourself an adult, and the government, if you're 18 or over, you are an adult. And why do they have to have these uh, protected areas for an adult where you cannot say anything against their particular situation? Free speech is everywhere. We can't keep trying to shut it down by putting it in a box.
Exactly. Or taking it away from people. And there's people that are from this country that have come to this country that had to flee actual communism where they did not have any rights and they were being starved to death. And they have come to America and they love this country. They love that they have been able to live the American dream. And when they can smell it of what
Hmm.
they're trying to do, and they're warning people, better be careful. This is what how it starts. Be careful. And they I guess people see they're doing it in America where we still have the Constitution. So by at the end of the day, we have our freedoms. We still have the Constitution.
Right.
Send these people who want communism and socialism, send them for about a month to an actual communist country where you're not living in a free country playing communist. You're
Right.
actually in a communist country. Feel what it's like. And what happened?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Uh, I hate to call her this. I don't know his real name, but Brittany Griner, when she got
Hmm.
arrested and had to
Right.
stay in Russia, she got
Hmm.
to learn. He got to learn. They got to learn what it was like not to have your Constitution protecting you and
Yeah.
blanketing you. And what happened when the national anthem played? She stayed. She stood up. She did not kneel. She had a whole new appreciation. And I think a lot of people should do that, and actually have their speech
And even if
monitored. I mean,
yeah, if somebody someplace says they're a socialist country, socialism is the first step to communism. That's all you can say. And we have so many in our government right now that are pushing for a socialist United States. And our founding fathers would not have tolerated that in any fashion whatsoever. And so we have to remember that we have this free speech. And when they keep coming back and telling you that what you're saying is hate speech and so forth, you have to stand up and make them understand that you're not hating on anybody, but you have the right to express your opinion.
exactly. Think about it. As I just said in the beginning, when you look at the Constitution and you read it, and you look at the Declaration of Independence when they first decided we want to break away from
Mhm.
England, we want to start our own country, and this is what we want. If you read in there, they wrote the things that they did, like I just said, because of experience of because of the tyranny they were going through. Now, I don't understand why on earth anybody would want big government, why they would want to be controlled. I guess they just do not understand freedom. I guess they just don't understand it because they have been this up and coming generation and the last of the millennials that are going into this Gen Z generation where they're so used to, like, just living in their parents' house and being given everything for free. The government will give you this, or the government will give you that, but don't they realize that there's a catch, that the government will give and give, but then they begin to own you,
Right.
and they can take that away from you at any time, and you become like a caged animal, or like you're in jail. And then you see, that's why they talked about, I'd rather have my dangerous freedoms
Mm-hmm.
than the safety, because you become like a caged zoo animal. They give you enough area to roam around in, like in the zoo,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't run like you used to. And
Right.
yeah, out in the wild, it may be dangerous out there, but you are free. You're
Right.
free. I just
And we
don't
need to be,
understand it.
yeah, we need to be free here. Our government, our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, everything that was written to establish this country was based on freedom. We didn't
Yes,
want that
exactly.
kingship and so forth. We didn't want somebody telling us exactly what we had to think and do and uh, come against you just because you wanted to voice something. We have the right to voice our discontent to our government. We have the right to petition them to do something differently. We have the right to stand up to them and say, you do not have that power. If it's not in our Constitution, you don't have that power. And so many people are forgetting that particular aspect. Now, with free speech, there's certain things you cannot say. You cannot go into a movie theater or someplace and holler fire. You're going to get a stampede out the
Right.
door. You're going to have all this stuff. So it's a process of making sense in what you're doing. I mean, why would you want to do that in a theater anyway? But we've seen it in the past, and that's why it is not protected. But everything, basically, your right to say something when it's not going to create imminent danger. You should be able to say it in this
Exactly. 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 They also remove the fact that God made us individuals
country.
with
Hmm.
our own thoughts and expressions, and how we want to express things, and they want to suppress that. And the I think one of the biggest things that got attacked as well, that comes with the Constitution, makes it very clear. Yeah, you have the right to live free and do what you would like, but everything that you do has consequences and responsibilities. So everything that you do has a consequence.
Right.
If you make a bad decision, it's on you. That is on you. You made that decision. You have to face the consequence. You cannot tell people that you're going to go to jail, like in Michigan right now. And I know we're going to cover this some more next week. But just to bring this up, they want to pass a law that of hate speech. That if you say anything, if you misgender someone or you make them feel threatened, they can sue you and you will go to prison or jail for a while, or a $10,000 fine. And then and I thought, so you're forcing, especially it's an attack on Christians, and just your everyday people. Because if we see a man in a dress and he's saying, I'm a woman, it's like, and you know darn well, you're not no woman.
You have
I'm
eyes.
sorry. Yeah,
You have
you're
eyes.
not a
You can
woman.
see.
And then they go, oh, I'm going to sue you, and you're going to be in trouble. In Michigan, they could take you to court, and they could say they said I wasn't a woman. Well, you know what? I am accountable to a higher power. I'm
Right.
accountable to do what the Lord tells me to do and what I'm expected to do. So if you're going to get mad at me following the Bible and me, I'm not going to join into your unicorn fantasies. I don't have to, and I shouldn't be put in jail for it. This is the kind of stuff why the First Amendment was written.
Right. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll go into a store, not so much in Stockton, it's whenever I get into a bigger place, okay?
Yeah.
Um, and somebody wants to say that, oh, I'm a woman, and you're looking at him, and, it's like, I'm not going to call you her because you're a him. And if you're going to prosecute me for using the wrong pronoun, well, make it a law where they have to wear a sign on their chest saying, I identify as this, that, and the other thing. Personally, I identify as an American. Okay. Let's
Amen.
stop the
Amen.
we have to stop the hyphenated things in our life. We don't need hyphenated
Yes,
Christianity. We don't need hyphenated Americans.
that's
Let's
right.
all just be Americans. Let's all just be Christians. Let's all, well, I'm sorry. If you are Jewish or something of that nature, I'm not going against you here. We have freedom of religion. You can practice any religion you want to. You can practice
Yes, you're
Satanism in
right.
because it's your right. But
Yes,
whenever you're coming to something like pronouns and things of that nature, if they're not
yeah,
wearing a sign that says I identify as this, then it's not my fault if I call them a him and they think they're a her.
exactly, exactly. Because you're not going to join in. You're not going to join in to fantasy. And if that's what they believe, this is where it comes in. If they want to believe that they are a girl or they are a woman or they are a man, they are going to have to accept the consequence that not everybody out in the big bad world is going to join them in their make believe land. We learned about make believe with Mr. Rogers when we would go, we would take the trolley into the land of make believe and see all that, those people and Captain Kangaroo and, you know, that there's a difference. That's pretend. I don't think because they're not teaching it, they're not enforcing it, that people today even remember or even know what the word unalienable or inalienable, however you want to use it, which word, it still means the same, rights. Those are God given rights, which means you have no right to take them from us.
Right.
They're given by God. And the
Hmm.
right to free speech, the right to be able to speak to if I want to come against something that's bad, if I want to, I have that right to assemble. That is my God-given right. I have a God-given right to protect myself. It's an inalienable right. These are
Right.
rights that come from God. You cannot take them from me. If you try to do that, then you are automatically considered tyrannical.
Hmm. True. And our Constitution originally, whenever they started trying to write our Constitution, and all the 13 colonies, put their input in there and so forth, uh, the base document for all of that happened to be a state's laws and so forth. I don't remember if it was Virginia or Massachusetts. My mind has gone blank. But when they started that particular state, their laws said it's based on the Bible. Everything was
Yeah.
in the Bible. That's how they judged things. That's how they communicated. It was all based on Scripture. No, we
Right,
pull it away
right.
from scripture because we have so many different religions and so forth in our country. But the base of our Constitution and our Bill of Rights happens to be scripture. And, God never told us we couldn't say something. And, God never told us we had to, uh, be careful about what if we call somebody a he or a she or a they or a them or whatever.
Yeah,
I,
exactly,
I'm
exactly. I
not.
mean, it's apparent how would when you look at the vet, when you take your animal to the vet, like a cat. Cats are harder, I guess, to describe. And you ask the vet, what is my cat, a boy or a girl? What do? They lift it up, they look at it, go, oh, you got a girl. Oh, you got a boy. And that's the end of that.
Hmm.
That's the end of that. You don't make and create things that were never there to try
Right.
to it's if that's what they want to do, fine. But still, even when they go through all of that, even if they go ahead and they look, they on the outward appearance they look like a woman, and you want to put them in beauty pageants and everything else, and play the game and allow them to get in there and do that, that's fine. But there are the majority of us that's a man who's dressed like a woman
Hmm.
who's winning beauty pageants. And it's a war on women. But
Yeah,
that's
and
for another time.
yeah, you have the ones that say I'm a woman and they get into the women's sports. Our women's sports are being taken over, and so we've got all this stuff going on. And I really like the video I watched of a 4-year-old, and she was standing there talking with the host of the show, and they had a skeleton hanging there, and she was identifying all the parts of the skeleton, and she got to the hip section, and he said, well, what's this? And she said, that's the pelvis. Your pelvis is gender specific. And she was at 4 years old, she knew that. It's designed to protect various things and protect your reproductive organs and so forth. And so, if a 4-year-old can figure out whether you're a male or a female, you ought to be able to figure it out yourself.
Amen. Amen. Exactly. You would think that. I mean, that's how that's how it is. And the fact that there's people that want to think otherwise, or
Hmm.
they think that you should be allowed to do this, or be okay if that's what you want to do because you are in America, do it, but don't force it on other people. That
Right.
we don't have to go along with it, and we shouldn't be punished and put into jail because we don't go along with your fantasy. We don't go along with uh, uh, you know being forced to call something that it is not. you know
Right.
I won't do it because the Lord does not want you to do it, and I have
Hmm.
to answer to him. I'm not going to walk around and appease. if i ever ran into if I ever ran into Bruce Jenner, I will never address him as Caitlin. Never.
Hmm.
Why? Because he's not a woman.
No,
And
he was.
he, you know what?
It is offensive for me to have to call something black when I know it's white. That's not the way that our country was founded. That's not what the Lord wants. The Lord wants you to speak truth. And so, these people that want to call everything hate speech are stepping on our rights. And
Yeah,
we should, it's. I think all speech, no matter how offensive it is, should remain protected. Um, but because prosecuting what some call hate speech may limit the right to express negative views and therefore could limit a citizen's right to free speech.
right, right. Uh, that is that there's something there, so it's precious because the government wouldn't want to be attacking it so badly.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you think about those two things, and the excuse me, um, I think about that, and it brings me back again to you don't understand. It all brings it back down when we at the end of the day, it brings it back down to the Bible being our foundation. Because when Barack Obama got into office, he made sure, and I don't know if it was in his inauguration or what, I don't remember, but he made sure to tell the American people this is no longer a Christian country. Why did you have to say that? Why? Because, see, you had plans to come
Mm-hmm.
against, to try to tear that down. That's what they're trying to tear down. Anything that's biblical, anything that God had made and created, get rid of it, destroy it, twist it. That's
Yep.
what it is. And and the freedom of speech, when you read in the Bible, people were able to go ahead and express themselves and
Mm-hmm.
everything. They had those freedoms, but they knew, it's like anything else. If you walk into, if you're going to, you know, there's places where be sure to watch your language. Be sure to, don't talk like that. And, we have to be quiet. When you're in the library, we have to be quiet.
Yeah.
There are just some things you got to do. And it's
You know,
common sense.
yeah, you tell the grandkids when we're going in here, do not be cussing all the time, okay? This woman has never cussed in her life. Now behave yourself.
Yeah, see, that's common sense. There's nothing wrong with bringing that about. You're not saying you will never be able to speak. You're just saying that there's certain places and there's certain people that we have to, don't say that around her. Not saying you won't be able to, but it has got so blown out of proportion, and they end up they 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 end up contradicting themselves, because you can't do this, but you could do this, and you can't do this. I don't know if you've seen the article talking about free speech. There's good old Ben and Jerry. They burned the Bill of Rights. They opened their mouth and said stolen land, and God bless this chief who came in and said, I want that. I want my land back.
Right,
They had for their
right,
businesses, and
right
it's
where
like,
Ben and Jerry's
checkmate,
headquarters sit.
checkmate, man, checkmate. And it's like, good, good, good. That was brilliant, because, and it's like, see what trying to do there, using it to try to punish Americans, but then it blew up in your face.
Right.
Now it blew up in your face, and they were only using it to try to steer people. And because I really don't think they actually meant it. I think
Mm-hmm.
they were just giving, like so many people do, they just give word salad, as we've
Yeah.
seen with, we are we are a sanctuary city, we are a sanctuary state. Well, when we brought it to them and said, well, you're a sanctuary city, you proclaimed you're a sanctuary state, oh, we have to get them out of here, we can't have them here, don't, what are we going to do? And it's like, oh, well, you
You know,
said you were.
you stepped on other people's rights. You've taken over and declared yourself a separate entity from our United States, and there are consequences to that, you know. And our First Amendment was designed to protect our ability to participate in self government and live in peace with those people who think differently than you.
Amen.
And
Amen.
they ultimately, they started out trying to protect political speech because in Great Britain and so forth, you talk against the king, you're going to go to prison. That was it, and they wanted everybody to be able
Yeah.
to express yourself. And Free speech goes beyond just spoken or written words. It's one of the most important ways you participate in society, and it's essential to the freedom and the success of a free republic.
There you go. That's another key word. That's another key word that we need to keep saying here um, on the show. We are a republic
Right.
by the people and for the people. We are a republic. It's our country. That White House is the people's house. That belongs to us. We should never be locked out of it. That's
And
our house.
now they say that they want to make Washington, D.C. a 51st state. Well, that goes completely against our Constitution. Washington, D.C. was set apart so that it could not be influencing the government. And if they
Amen.
make it a state, they're going to, you know, let's face facts. We're going to end up with another liberal situation there. Everybody that's going to be a representative is going to go to the liberal side and accept all the delusions that are going on in the world. So we can't allow
Exactly.
that. If you get a
Right.
petition that comes through your email that says sign this and try to stop them from making Washington, D.C. a 51st state, sign it. Okay. There's no
Yes.
reason for
Yes.
Washington, D.C. to be our 51st state.
Exactly. Exactly. We have to be able to stand up and defend and the Constitution again, and we have the right to do so. Pastors, the whole point of the Black Robe Patriot was that we preached the Word of God.
Hmm.
But then we went out and we fought for the rights to uphold that, for every right we went out and we fought for, we defended it. Even the pastors were out there putting their lives on the line. Why? For the sake of freedom. These people today have no idea what it means to be free. I can't remember what the name of the video is, but it was heartbreaking. I mean, it brought tears because it was so beautiful, but it was sad in the same sense. They had at this, I think it was a sanctuary for monkeys, gorillas, monkeys. They had gotten two chimpanzees that have been freed and released from a center where they were doing testing,
Hmm.
and they were rescued from that place. They have, since the time that they were small, never saw the outside before.
Right.
And this was the first time they finally let them out. They never saw grass. And when they looked up and they saw the sky and the sun and the sunlight on them, it was so, they just were, and they weren't held in a
Right.
cage or boxed in. It was the most beautiful thing. And it's like, do you people even know or realize how precious freedom is and how the government wants to get that from you? I mean, with
Hmm.
somebody with Klaus saying, you will eat bugs and you will like it, you will be happy. Who is this person to control us? Who is he? He's no
Right.
different. He's not any greater human being. He's a human being. Does money, do you think that currency, that monetary, that you get your power because you have more money? No, I hate to break it to you, but your power comes from the Lord. And eventually, sin lasts for a season,
Hmm.
and you're only going to be able to go for just for a certain time, and then judgment's going to come, and it's not
Right.
going to have anything to do with us. They people take, oh, that's the big, I don't believe, you believe in the sky daddy. They're like, sky daddy.
Yeah. Well, where have stepped over our time here a little bit, but if you would like to discuss this with us or you want further information, our email addresses are on the screen. And on Wednesdays, Cindy does a show called High Octane at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. And then I have a show called Trials and Triumphs immediately after her. My show from last week, Trials and Triumphs, all of our shows will be rebroadcast on Radio Free America. And if you go to the Get Me Radio app and put it, make Radio Free America one of your favorites. And so my show from last week, which I think everyone should listen to, is the story of a girl who started transitioning and then just stopped. And so she had to detransition. And so she gives a lot of really good information. Parents who have children that think that, they're an opposite sex than what they are, you need to listen to this and find out what it does to you physically and so forth. It's a lot of really good information straight from the mouth of someone who has
Yes.
started and then stopped. And
Yes,
Black Robe
excellent.
Patriots is on at 2 p.m. this afternoon on Radio Free America. So that's one of the things that, I want to make sure everybody gets to hear that. I think it's
Yes,
really
yes.
important in this day and time. And Cindy, she's always got something hot going on High Octane.
Yeah, I got a good one. That's for this Wednesday, and so hopefully, you guys will tune in. Yeah, I if it offends you, you can always shut me off. But you know what? It's the truth. It's the
Yeah,
truth. And you know what? I exercise my rights in the Constitution. I exercise my freedom of speech to be able to
right.
tell the truth and bring the truth out
And
in
that's one thing with
awareness.
our media group. We get to have free speech, and so we value that. But in the meantime,
Mhm.
we're going to have to get off here. And like I said, it's my first day. We'll see if I get this thing shut
Yeah,
off
let's
properly.
go,
So,
go, go, Pastor Ladina.
well, thank you all for joining us. And we'll see you again
Thank
next week.
you.
You,
See you
bye bye.
later.